Hey, my name's Sandra Burt, and I have owned a company named So Posh for about 20 years and have done lots of sewing and alterations and having to get creative on lots of things. And I don't really do stuff like this very often, and I don't edit, so what you see is what you get. But the Marine Corps birthday is coming up on Monday, their 250th birthday on the 10th, and I have a little project on my work table that I'm excited about because it's a dress blue coat. And my dad was actually in the Marine Corps for 20 years out in 29 Palms. And so this uniform is really near and dear to my heart. And this young Marine actually went into boot camp and then took an absence and served a 2-year mission. Another thing that's very close to my heart, and then came back, and now the Marine Corps ball is coming up soon, and he needed some stripes added to the sleeve. And of course, when you go to add like the chevrons, you can kind of go in, at the top, and you can really finagle this in under your machine, but then you start looking down here and you're like, oh crap, now what do I do? So I looked around just to see, like, well, what do other people do? And of course, you look up the nice placement, that 45-degree angle right above the trim, and you're like, oh man, like, what do people do? Do they use like a post bed machine? Do they do this? Do they do that? And what does somebody do? Uh, you know, a lot of young Marines might have a wife who's going to put these on, or maybe they're going to do them themselves, and they might hand stitch, which I also, as much as people think that is not like as professional, in the professional world, anything hand stitched is always, to me, way more valuable. Because it takes more time and you can really be really specific. But, in the time it would take you to take it to a place, wait, and all that stuff, you could hand stitch it and be just as good, and nobody would ever know, and it would look great. I have sewn professionally for 20 years, and so to me, time is money, and what can I do to make it perfect? I don't want it to be askew. I don't want it to be off an eighth of an inch. I want it to be perfect. And so for me, I use this double-sided tape. So this is like a 3M, I think it's called like Millennium tape, but you could pretty much do this with anything. And you put a little double-sided tape on the back of your patch, and then place it perfectly, because you're going to be sewing it, and there's nothing worse. Every video I saw had people pinning and doing all this stuff. Like, really, in real life, when you pin it and then finagle it under your machine, it shifts. It will not look, to me, just very archaic, and they're never perfect. I don't care what anybody says, you don't get perfect when you're pinning it all over. It shifts, it moves, you're trying to get a sleeve in there. So I'm going to show you how to get this perfect. You will place that on the sleeve exactly where you want it, and just make sure you got it nice and on there. And then you're going to take your seam ripper. And the reason why you can do this, it'll work on any machine really. And you're going to open up the sleeve. And anybody who's sewing on a machine anyway is going to know how to put this back together. So it's not a big deal. But you're going to open up that sleeve. You can push the lining kind of out of the way. You can open the lining too, but at this point I had just opened the sleeve, and it allows you to really lay this flat, get it under even a home sewing machine, any sewing machine. The industrial machines are tough because you don't have like the little like bed, where you can remove the thing. You kind of you have like a flat surface, and so you really have to be able to get a good look at it, and no matter what, you're kind of finagling it. And so this gives you the double-sided tape will hold it perfectly, so that no matter what you're doing, whatever you're finagling, however you're having to shift, it'll stay right where you put it. And then you can do your stitching. And on this I did like a red stitch on top and just followed right on the prettiest part of it, so that you really cannot you really can't tell that it's, I don't even know if you can see really well, but It just looks perfect. You can't even tell where it's stitched, and it looks great. It's a good, perfect color match. And then black on the other side, so it just kind of sits nicely. But that's how I get the perfect placement in sewing. And then, so now this is opened, but that, you know, I think sometimes people think you got to go up in or try to do something, or they don't even know what to do, or they think hand stitching is their only option. But you just open up the sleeve, sew your patch, and then from there you will then move the sleeve, and you're going to open that lining so that you can reclose the sleeve. So I went in here, and then you can look at the lining and you can really see there's always like that top stitched area where you can oh my gosh, my eyes are not as good as they used to be, but you can open up that lining, and it's meant to be opened and put back together. You can see that by just the fact that it's been closed up right there. And so you'll open the lining, and this is how you're going to put it back together. But this is just similar to doing like any other suit, but you could use this for any project where you've got to sew something onto the sleeve and you're like, how am I going to get it up there and not sew through all the layers and, you know, make it look right. So you're going to open up that lining, pull your sleeve out. You will find that stitch that you opened from the outside, put black thread and black bobbin, and just re-sew it, and it'll look great. Nobody will ever know that you took it apart and put it back together. So you're going to do that, and just kind of follow right along the stitch line from before. But now your patch is on there, so you'll get that sewn up. I would probably do a stitch length of like 2.5 to 3. Not anything super crazy. It doesn't have to be super tight. You want it to just look the way it looked before. And then when that's done, then you'll push that back in, and then you will, you'll keep your black on black, and then kind of come down here and you'll re-sew the lining, and when you push it all back through, everything is done. So it's way easier, even though it just seems, I guess just to me, you get it in your head that you're putting something onto a jacket. You don't think about dismantling it or taking it apart, but it makes it so much better and so much easier, and anybody can do that. So if you have a sewing machine, even just a regular home sewing machine, that's the best instructions I could find that are legitimately from a professional who's done this for a number of years and always has happy clients. And if you are a hand stitcher, don't be afraid to just take your red thread and very carefully attach that on. But my best little trick is that hidden two-sided tape, or something that helps you get that placement really well, so that you don't have shifting and it turns out exactly the way you had hoped. So anyway, happy birthday, Marines, on Monday. And then after you're all done, you kind of just go around, clean it all up, lint roll it, you know, get all the little threads and things off, give it a look over. And I always just look at everything. If there's any little thing amiss, I want to help that serviceman or woman have everything perfect for their event, and so that they look sharp, and they know that I appreciate them. Thanks so much. I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this, but to me, when I looked around at all the videos out there, they were all terrible. I just felt like they made it way harder, and it definitely didn't make it. I just felt like they gave terrible tips. And if you want to do it easy and perfect and be proud of the finish, this is the way I would do it, and I'm happy to share. Thanks so much. Bye.